welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachel
and Neal Young. So we're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachel and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the podcast. Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm kidding out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey!
This episode is brought to you by my admin. Well, HD Photo Hub, which is basically like having an admin.
That's right. And it's not just a delivery platform. It's a powerhouse designed to make your work shine. From stunning teaser videos and social media reels to custom property websites and polished printable flyers, HD Photo Hub automates it all so you can focus on what matters, growing your business.
That's right. We have John Reid on the podcast today from Reid Media Agency out of Ontario.
Hey.
So excited to have John here. John has so much going on. I mean, it's crazy, all the stuff. Just checking out your website, checking out Instagram. I follow you on Instagram and stuff, and doing just a ton of cool stuff. And one of the big things that I see that you kind of market yourself, you're a marketing agency, and you kind of separate yourself versus just being a videographer as more, helping your agents grow with, tools and resources and a strategy and a plan, not just filming something and handing it off. Right. One of the things that we've both, Rachel and I both have offerings for and are dabbling in, but just getting rolling on some of these offerings are social media offerings. And I think that's a huge piece of what you do and something that looks like you're doing really well and very successful at. And that's a big part of what we wanted to dive in today is, how you've done that, what's successful, what are some of the cool things you can help us, do that, and our listeners do that. But before we do that, John, can you just let us know where people can find you on social media and then give us a little backstory about how you got into this game?
Sure, yeah. So Instagram is at Reid Media Agency. How I got into this game? If I want to tell you the short version, I spent my entire career up until a few years ago as a portrait photographer first, and then in management in a chain of portrait photography studios. And then when COVID shut basically everything down that wasn't real estate, I thought that I was going to lose my house. I thought I was going to, not be able to provide for my family. So I just had to frantically figure out what else I was going to do. And I thought, okay, I've got a camera and real estate still seems to be going on. So thought I'll just, invest some time in learning real estate photography on YouTube and kind of figure it out. And then I thought, I'll just do it for a couple of months until this COVID thing blows over. That was my original plan. Obviously, it didn't blow over in a couple of months, but what also happened was that because the real estate market went like that, and because I was able to figure out not just a product that agents liked, but also the service, and that's actually the bigger thing. As soon as I started working with agents, other agents in their network started to take notice. The agents who worked with me were just referring, to kind of everyone. So like my business just kind of went like that. And I had no idea when I started that it would become what it has become. But now, like we're a full service media agency. I have, how many do I have? I have like 12 or 13 people kind of directly working in the business. And then obviously we have, kind of different editors, subcontractors and stuff like that. But yeah, it's gone from me being a solo, kind of solo guy, one-man show, to what it is now, which is a freaking monster. So that's where I'm at.
What a story. I love that you just were like, I got to pivot. What am I going to do to survive? And you have obviously thrived in this space. That's amazing.
Absolutely. We know, what's crazy as well, though? I at no point have had any kind of clear vision or business plan. or kind of goals to get to a certain point. Now, to say I don't have a clear vision, actually, that's an incorrect statement, because I have crazy vision, but the thing is, I don't always know what it is. It's kind of a subconscious thing. I'm not an analytical type business guy. I have really bad ADHD. I'm absolutely horribly organized. So actually, every day I look around myself and I'm like, how is this still working? Right? Like, how on earth is this still succeeding? But the answer to that is that I've surrounded myself with amazing people, right? And that is what has allowed this whole thing to continue. But like, it's all been very, very organic. I just kind of like, I just do what feels good and it goes well. And then I see an opportunity. And so I kind of take this action and that action. And as my team will tell you, they don't always know exactly what I'm doing. I actually don't always know exactly what I'm doing. I'll take an action and I'll kind of put something in place. And then like 3 months later, I'll go, oh, wow, that's why I did that, because now that's going to allow this to happen. And it's a crazy, crazy journey, man. And that's not just business. That's how I live life.
That's incredible. That is exactly the way I built my business, John. It's like, I don't have goals. If I make a goal, I'm not going to reach it. It's going to be something completely different. I feel like it's amazing. And things just fall right into place where they're supposed to be, right? And you just keep going through one door to the next, and it just keeps building and growing.
I kind of feel like I must have been like a really good person in like a previous life, just because like
not this one though.
Everything comes my way. Everything comes my way. It's like, it's unbelievable.
You're a really good person, though. You really are. You give a lot. And I think, if you give, you're going to receive. So I think that's a lot of it.
Sounds like you probably have a really good gut for it. And you got a good pulse for where a need is. And so you probably just gravitate that way.
Yeah.
So what would you say on that note?
Sorry. Go on, Neil.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, on that note, where did that start transitioning from just photos and video stuff into marketing for you? Where did that really begin?
So as I started to see that the business was growing, and I started to connect with subcontractor photographers so that I could increase the capacity. I had a virtual assistant to do quality control, admin. What I kind of realized was that I was building a business that, I had to ensure that there was sustainability in it, right? And I had no confidence. This was like 2.5 years ago. I had no confidence that the real estate media industry was going to kind of remain stable for any particular length of time, right? I'm actually quite surprised that it is still quite strong. But I think that it's only a matter of time before the demand for services in real estate listing media is just going to start to go down and down and down. There will always be a demand for it, but I think that with the unbelievable advances in AI, generative, like some of the stuff that you see now, like starting with like even a year and a half ago or whatever, when Cubicasa started doing that 3D stuff, like all of the new AI stuff. I think it's only a matter of time before the demand just starts to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to do was to not have all my eggs in one basket, basically. And so I decided that I was going to very intentionally build kind of a second division to the business, really, which is offering social media content and full service. And I don't want to call it social media management, because that's actually not the right word. We offer social media content and social media posting and strategy. And it coincided actually with me. And I know that, this had to come up at some point, reading this book. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And this book changed my, does my swear filter need to stay on? It almost.
Oh, no, not at all. You're fine. You can swear if you want. Yeah. It's a podcast, so they can't see it. So you got to say what it is.
This changed my life, right? It's Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I was reading that and trying to apply the principles to grow my real estate listings media business. But then as I'm also, kind of thinking to myself, I need to do something else. I need to offer these different services. I thought, you know what? I have the perfect foundation to be able to offer something which is more than just let's create a nice video so that you can post it. But just to build strategy into it from the start, like a strategy that is proven, and that is effective, because I'd already started to see the effectiveness of it in my own business. And so everything just kind of came together, and it just created a new direction, and I've just kind of gone with it from there. So it's been like 2.5 years since I decided to do this, and it's been a slow process, but it's unbelievable right now.
Psst. Sorry to interrupt. If you haven't heard, Rach and I are using Pixl CRM.
Pixl CRM isn't just another boring tool. It's basically your business's best friend. With Pixl CRM, you can automate your lead generation, follow-ups, client communication, and stay top of mind with email campaigns. And there's just so much more.
And if you want, you can try it out today. Just go to pixlcrm.com/STS, and you're going to get the first month of Pixl CRM free. So what is the basic offering that you're offering for this social media strategy and posting and all that?
Get 1 month of social media content in just one shoot.
How many is that? 15 videos? Like, is that just videos? Do you do carousels? Do you do photos?
It depends, right? The reason why I said it like that is because, and this is from StoryBrand, from other kind of knowledge and research that I've done in marketing. People don't want to have some kind of long-winded explanation. They don't want to have like a whole host of different options and this, that, and the other. So like when people say like, oh, so you don't just do real estate listings media, you do other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, if you want, we can give you 1 month's worth of social media content. We'll do it in one shoot, and we'll even post it for you if you like. Because that's nice. Like instead of saying, well, yeah, we do social media content, and we can kind of like help you to kind of figure out like what you want to post about, like what topics you want to kind of talk about. We can help you with scripting, or you can kind of do it yourself. We kind of work with a few different clients, like in different ways. You can kind of do like, you can like, depending on how long people are just going to switch off. They don't want to know that. Whereas if you say, yeah, we can give you 1 month of social media content in just one shoot, and if you like, we'll even post it for you. It's a friggin' no-brainer. So that's what we offer. Now, there obviously is a lot of different, detail within that. And once we get to the point where somebody is wanting to hear that detail, then I'll go into that detail, but it's through a consultative type process. So rather than just throwing loads of information at them, it's listening to their needs. It's kind of identifying what is actually going to be a good fit for them. And occasionally I say, I don't think this is what you need. Like I don't think we are the agency for you. I think you're probably better off with going with something else. But in answer to your question, like how, is it videos? Is it carousels? Is it like how much? We have 3 core packages, and we offer them in 2 different ways. One of them is just to provide the video content, right? And when I say just to provide the video content, that's actually I'm not doing it justice. The second one is to post it for them as well. So here's how it breaks down. Whichever package they go for, they get a strategy session where I will either learn about their brand and their unique value proposition, or in a lot of cases, they don't even have one. They don't even know what it is. So I help them to define that and develop that, right? Then we go ahead and we write scripts. Sometimes clients have input into what those scripts are, what topics there are, but often they don't. We just go ahead and do that. We don't do cookie cutter scripts. We use kind of AI in certain ways, but it's not an AI script. It is 100% completely custom. It is extremely valuable, not only in like the structure of it, but also in the actual content. And then I do all of those shoots myself, and I provide a very high level of like guidance, direction, and coaching. And then, we edit the videos to, the great quality that is going to do justice to the actual content, which is the strategic message that is going to catch the attention of their potential clients and get them to, engage with them or do business with them or whatever the purpose of that particular content is. And then we also provide the strategy. It's like, we're not just kind of creating random content. It's like, let's do, a bit of this type of content, a bit of that type of content, and then maybe once a month we want to throw one in there that's got a particular call to action, that is going to capture the the engagement and the trust that's been built through the other content, but actually get them in your DMs, get them to, sign up to a mailing list by downloading a free PDF or whatever it is. So we're very, very intentional about that. So the first model that we have is to do all of that and then just give them the content. And then also we'll kind of give them a bit of guidance, like post this one first. And when you post this one, you got to be ready to, kind of respond to DMs. And, we'd recommend this type of response and kind of get the conversation going. The second model is where we'll post it for them. And that's where we shoot the reels, but then we also create other content. We'll call it micro content. And that could be a carousel. It could be like an image with a caption. Or it could be a micro reel where it's just like 10 seconds of B-roll, intended to get them to read the caption. So those are the two different models. And then here are the three core packages. Package number one is 4 reels per month if we're giving you the content and you're posting it yourself. If you want us to post it for you, then we'll post 3 times per week, which is that 1 reel plus 2 additional pieces of content, right? Package number 2 is 8 reels per month. And so if you want us to post it for you, we'll post, 4 times per week. So those 2 reels per week plus 2 additional pieces of content. And then package number 3 is 12 reels per month. So that's weekly. If we post it, we post 3 reels and then 2 pieces of micro content. So it's posting 5 times per week. But I rarely go into that level of detail with people because it's just about kind of figuring out what is going to be right for them and then suggesting something. Most of the time they say yes. There's been a crazy change that's happened in the business I'm going to say about the last 3 or 4 months.
Rach, did you know that listeners can use the code STS to get 10 free full deliveries? That means 10 complete marketing kits with HD Photo Hub.
Yes, and that includes property websites, videos, flyers, and more, absolutely free.
And what I love is I can set it up so that the clients have to pay before they can even download their photos.
Oh, that's the best. No more chasing invoices. And the online ordering has saved me so much time with back and forth text and emails. It's just automated.
Use the code STS to get 10 complete marketing kit downloads now.
I started to get to the point where I was getting so many inquiries. I was thinking to myself, I need to make sure that not everybody says yes, because otherwise we're not going to be able to fulfill it, right? At the same time, we're building our team, we're building our systems, we're increasing the capacity. That is a friggin' monster at the moment, but it's working well. We just need to continue refining it. But here's what I did. Because of that realization, I stopped selling, right? And I was almost anti-selling. So I'll get someone on the discovery call, I'll kind of go through all the information, but I'll literally say to them, this may or may not be a good fit for you. Right? If you think it's a good fit, then, we'd be happy to work with you. Take some time to think about it and let me know. It's like, that's the like any sales trainer or sales guru will say don't, that's the worst thing to say. Take some time to think about it and let me know. But what I've found kind of accidentally is that it's a really good filter. And not only is it a really good filter, I'm not recommending it to anybody else, right? But to me, in my situation, the way that I'm doing everything, it's actually increased the conversion rate to a ridiculous extent. As an example, last week, I spoke with a guy, and it was a discovery call in the morning, 9 o'clock. He sounded really, really solid, but he actually said to me, you are the first of a number of videographers that I'm calling to get quotes from. Right? He said that twice during the call. So at the end of the call, I said, okay, so I'll let you go away and speak to your other people, kind of figure out what is going to be the best solution for you. If it's not us, it's been great speaking to you, but like if you think we're the good fit, then we'd be happy to work with you. Let us know, right? I didn't even have time to take the notes from that call and transfer them to my team, right? This guy started calling like 90 minutes later, saying, I want to sign up. My team are like, we don't have any info. Like, what did you discuss? What package do you want to go for? Like, is it the this? Is it the that? He's like, no, we had a conversation. I want to sign up. When can I get started? So I got a message and I'm like, I'm going to send a voice memo. That's what I do, everything by voice memo. And I'm going to give you all the information. You can then kind of process the order. So I kind of sent that. My team is busy with all kinds of different things. The gentleman is phoning at 4 p.m. saying, I haven't heard anything. I need the invoice. I need to get the invoice paid so I can get like, when are the next steps? When's the next time? Like, when can we do the shoot? When can we do this? When can we do that? And he was just relentless. I actually have a discovery call with him. What day is it today?
Friday.
Friday.
It's Friday. Okay, so this happened on Monday, right? I have a discovery, sorry, no, not a discovery call. I have the strategy session with him immediately after this, and we're doing the shoot for him next Tuesday because he is just so, like, he can't wait. And this is from me telling him, you may not find that we are a good fit. Please take some time to think about it. Speak to the other videographers that you were going to contact. Weigh your options up. Let me know. 90 minutes later, he's like chasing us down. So, I don't remember what your exact question is, but I hope that that's a satisfactory answer.
No,
Simplify. This is all from StoryBrand, right? If
Yeah.
you confuse, you lose.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so basically what you just said is if you confuse, you lose, which
absolutely.
goes back to the book, Building a Story Brand, right? So can you talk a little bit about the psychology behind that concept?
A little bit. I'll try.
Quickly.
So, well, one thing to say is that it's not in any way, in fact, it's the opposite of like a new kind of faddish marketing strategy or like sales technique or whatever. It's actually the fundamentals of sales and marketing, which are the fundamentals of human psychology, right? How do I sum it up? So let me sum it up this way, right? Every single human being on this planet is living their own story, right? And it doesn't matter how humble, how selfless, or how, interested in other people an individual might be. They are living their own story, right? And their motivation in life is to survive, right, and not be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? This is this is an evolutionary thing, but it's still the way our brains are wired. What that means is that whatever is coming their way, the input of data and information, which obviously at this point in time is like absolutely outrageous. We are bombarded so much. With all of that coming at them, the human brain has an extremely limited capacity to process that information. I don't have any idea of what the percentage would be, but like let's just say we can only process 2% of all of the information that is available to us all around us, right? I think that would probably be fairly accurate. If something comes our way and we do not immediately recognize that is going to be valuable to us, it is going to be beneficial to our survival, and it is going to help us to thrive. If we don't immediately see that, our brains are designed to tune it out, right? It's not even a conscious thing. Our brains are just going to go, yeah, this is not important. I need to keep on looking for other stuff that is going to prevent me from getting eaten by the saber-toothed tiger, right? That's how it works. And so therefore, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a real estate media agency, whatever business, this universally applies to all businesses, right? If you put a message out there, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in like regular content, whether it's in day-to-day conversation, whether it's in the About Me page on your website, if you put a message out there that is all about your story, people do not care because it's not about them. It doesn't have any immediate recognizable impact on whether they survive or thrive, right? It might be that it's got the perfect solution for them to survive and thrive, but if you're talking about your story, it's not going to resonate with them. They're not going to relate to it. They are not going to see themselves, right? So this is where the story brand framework turns that whole thing on its head, right? The story that you tell has to be about your target client. And you've got to speak about who they are, what they are up to and what they want, right? What is their goal in life? What problem is standing in the way of them getting what they want? And then, once you've established that, you insert yourself into that story, but it's their story. It's the story about them, right? Yeah. And I'll give you an example of that, like, just in the context of how we apply this to real estate agents. So I'll give you an example of the gentleman I'm going to be speaking to in like 40 minutes from now. When he called me, he wanted to find out the pricing for making a video. And he told me his idea. His idea was that he is transitioning from a career in corporate finance, and he is going to, be bringing a lot of that experience to real estate. So he wants to speak about, his career, and the things that he's done in his career, which has given him the experience to understand economics and understand finance, and how that is going to put him in a good position to help navigate the real estate market, because it's very dynamic right now, and there's a lot going on that is difficult to understand. And then also he wants to focus on the fact that he was born and raised in this particular neighborhood, but also his family kind of came to Canada in 1648 and were some of the original French Canadian settlers. And so that allows him to, kind of have roots in the English-speaking Canadian culture, but also in the French-speaking Canadian culture. And I said, do you want me to give you honest feedback? And he said, yes, please do. I said, don't make that video. And he said, why not? I said, it's not going to be effective. I said, what will happen is that you will probably get quite a lot of likes, views, and engagement, right? People who know you, your family, your colleagues, your network, they're all going to go, wow, that's such a beautiful story. That's so good. That's so good. Such a nice video. And you're going to get all of this praise, and you're going to go, wow, yeah, that was great. But then you're not going to get any business from it whatsoever, because the people who you want to do business with do not care about you or your story, or when your family came to Canada, or what you did before you transitioned into real estate, or why you transitioned into real estate. All they want to know is whether you understand them, what they want, what their problem is, and whether you are equipped to solve it. That's all they want to know, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is what I think you should talk about, right? And then I told him, and I obviously blew his mind, and that's why he basically chased us down for 24 hours until he could get on the calendar, right? And that is the story brand framework. There's a lot more complexity to it than that. There's a lot of different stages. But because I recognized the incredible value of this, I decided to go all in. This is when we first met, actually, Rachel. I decided to get certified as a story brand guide. That's why that little thing is right there. And it was bloody expensive. It cost me $12,000, and at various different points during that process and afterwards, I had severe buyer's remorse. I'm like, what the hell have I done? This is an absolute, I don't have that kind of money. This is absolutely wild and reckless. How could I possibly think that was a good idea? However, at this point in time, being able to speak like this to clients, right? It has made a difference to my business that is incalculable. It is incalculable, right? And it is helping me to establish that thing that I set out to do 2.5 years ago, which is to take a bunch of the eggs that were in the real estate listing media basket and put them into another basket, which has a much higher chance of being a sustainable business. And what I didn't expect to happen is during that process, for me to develop such an incredibly unique value proposition, because nobody else is kind of doing what we're doing, right? Some people are doing a really great job with little bits of it here and there, right? And some people are doing a way better job than me or my team at various different things, right? That's fine, but nobody is doing what we're doing. And as soon as we get a client on a call, like I said, I'm actually trying to talk clients out of doing business with me, right? And it's making them want to do business even more. And soon I'm going to have to really, really, really figure out, I'm going to have to get a waiting list, right? And say, we're not taking on any new clients right now, which is wild. But yeah, that's the story brand power.
Yeah, no, we both have listened to Story Brand or read it. I listened, but it's awesome. I love the caveman, simplifying, how can you explain what you do to a caveman, right? Yeah. And as few as words possible. All that stuff is so great. I love it, and the whole idea of being a guide for them to succeed, instead of, you're not Luke Skywalker, you're Obi-Wan, right? And so how can you shine that you can get them where they want to go? I love that. Yeah.
And that's what most businesses get wrong, and especially in real estate, they just talk all about themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because, like I said earlier, this is not new information. This is not some kind of really sometimes when I explain this to people, they're like, "Whoa, this is so innovative." I'm like, it's not. It's the friggin' fundamentals of sales, marketing, and human psychology. It's sales and marketing 101.
I think the success is great. So there's two things I want to talk to you about. I want to hear a little bit more about the practicals of your content. But before we do that, I'm really curious to know, and I have a guess, what is the hardest part you've got too many people that want this service now. And I think the problem is scaling that. And I'm going to guess, am I guessing correctly that the hardest part about scaling that is having somebody who has the solid directing skills to coach them on the shoot? Or what is the hardest thing to scale?
So at this point in time, I'm not even considering that as an option. And I'll tell you why, because it wasn't necessarily my intention to do this, but I've kind of made this specific service all about the unique skills that I have. And, you know, and it's come from a lifetime of experience plus like an intense training and certification program with StoryBrand. And so, you know, at one point, what I'd started to do, I started to offer two different tiers of packages, right? One, which is that like, we'll create all the scripts for you and we'll do the strategy, but it's someone else who's going to come and shoot it. Right. And that was at a lower price point. And then at the highest price point, it was going to be coached and directed by me. Nobody was even interested in knowing about the lower price point. And to be honest, one of the reasons I put that price point into the price list was actually to demonstrate the value of the other option. Right. So it's like if I just have one price, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of money. That's more than most people are charging. Whereas with the lower price, which is not shot by me, that was to kind of anchor it. And to say, yeah, well, this is if you don't want all of this value. So I think that I am going to have to be the director and the coach on site. But there are a number of different things that we already have. We already have a lot of them working. And we've got a bunch more in development that are intended to increase the capacity to, you know, the maximum comfortable, you know, place. While still having me as the director. And I don't know whether you want me to speak about those, because I know we don't have a lot of time. I could talk to you guys forever about this, man. I'm so excited by it all. So
yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, dive in a little bit more here for us and tell us kind of how this goes and what are you doing for those things that you are scaling?
Yeah. So I'll start with like what I used to do was I used to do like the strategy, and then I used to do myself and my content director Glenn would do the scripting together. You know, either I would kind of start it and he would finish it, or he would start it and I would finish it, or like some combination of that. But I was very, very heavily involved, and I would show up to shoots by myself, and I would bring all of the lighting equipment. I'd bring all of the text. Sometimes we use teleprompter, sometimes we don't. But that was like as a very, very time-consuming thing for all of those parts, and then I would run the shoot. I read a really interesting book, and this is another book recommendation, right, for you guys and for anybody else listening or watching. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Great.
Right? Anybody who's thinking of scaling, anybody who is at a point where like you're doing too much, and you know you've got more demand than you can service, that's a book to read, right? And what I'll say is like this is a wild oversimplification, but one of the main premises that we're applying right now is the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule basically it is a method by which you can scale your capacity without reducing quality or service levels, right? And it goes like this. You do the initiation of the project, right? And you do the first 10% to set the direction of this project. You then delegate the 80%, the time-consuming stuff, the work to one or more other people and or systems. And then you come in at the very end to add that extra 10%, which is your special sauce, your, kind of like, special way of doing things. And so that's the project. But instead of you doing 100% of it, you're actually only doing 20% of it. And I'm not at 80-20 right now, but I'm going to say I'm at probably about 50-50 right now. And so I'll explain just a couple of different aspects of that. And this will also, kind of give you guys a little bit more practical insight as to how how the shoots go, right?
Yeah.
So from the strategy session that I do with a client, we do it on Google Meet, and we have an AI note taker called Fireflies, right? And it produces a transcript of the call and also a summary, right? After the strategy session, I will create a voice memo, which it's different depending on the conversation, but it's anywhere from 4 minutes to maybe 10 minutes, just with my additional thoughts and summary about what needs to happen for this project to, go in the right direction, right? Then that goes to Glenn, my content director, who takes all of that, kind of extracts a plan from it basically, and starts to kind of outline, these are the different topics, these are the different things, this is what was agreed, this is the location that, kind of needs to, be part of the shoot, whatever, like all of the details, right? And then that goes to our copywriter, Jasmine. Jasmine will then go through all of that, right? She'll also do some other research. She'll, research the agent. She'll research the topics. She has a very, 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 detailed experience in real estate in our local area. So she knows exactly how these all work. So what she'll then do is she'll create a plan with all of the scripts. That'll come back to Glenn and I, and sometimes it's just me, sometimes it's Glenn as well. But we'll look at that and then we'll tweak it, right? And I'll kind of tweak it based on my, kind of vision for this, my understanding of what the client wanted to do, and the story brand principles. But all my team are kind of trained in that framework, and so they do a really fantastic job. But I'll look at something, I'll go, yeah, that's going to be better if it's said like this. This has got to come here. That hook is actually, going to be better if we do it this way. So that's how we get to the point where we're ready for the shoot, right? And like I said, I was doing a huge amount of that myself. Now I'm only doing a little bit of it. So that's an absolute godsend. When it comes to the shoot, we show up to the shoot, and I'm still going to some shoots by myself, but normally now I have a team member with me, and Alex, who's our creative lead. What I'm trying to do with him, I'm trying to transition to a model where he is taking complete ownership of setting up the lights, setting up the camera, setting up the teleprompter if we're using one, having the iPad or whatever with all of the scripts on, having all of the notes for the shoot. So I actually don't need to concern myself with any of that. I can just be speaking to the client, getting them ready for what we're about to do, giving them that encouragement, giving them that energy, and then I'm coaching them through the process. Meanwhile, the team member that I have with me is taking care of all of that stuff. We're not quite there yet. It's still kind of a collaborative thing. But the ultimate goal is that, Alex, who's the creative lead, he is going to develop a very, very specific process and an SOP for how to run that, right? So what that'll mean is that increases my capacity, because rather than going to a shoot and having to spend 3 hours, right, with all of the setup and everything like that, maybe we can do it in 2 hours. Right? Or maybe the next phase on from that is that, and I kind of feel pretentious even saying this, but this is just the way that I have to do it, right? Is that I'm actually going to have very little kind of, I'm just going to pop into the client's experience, just here, there, and everywhere, right? And I'm going to have a team member show up at the location. They're going to set everything up, and then it's going to be okay, John's going to be here any minute now, and then I'm going to kind of swan in, just when everything's ready to go. And
You're going to do the fun part, John.
Here he is.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. And that kind of already happens a little bit, with real estate shoot. Sometimes I'll show up at a real estate shoot, and the client's like, oh my God, I didn't realize you were going to be here. It's it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, that's what I want to get to with the content shoots. And so what that'll mean is that I can maybe only show up for 90 minutes or maybe even just an hour, because I'll show up and I'll kind of do the direction. I'll kind of do the specific reels that do require a lot of input. And then maybe there's some that are just kind of fairly straightforward, right? Kind of off a teleprompter. And because I've set the tone, I've got them excited, everything is going well, then I just swan off. I kind of, I go and, kind of spend some time in my villa in Spain and, let my people deal with everything. But no, it's the idea, it's that 80-20 rule thing. I'm trying to reduce the amount of time that I have to spend on it. And it's crazy. I said earlier on that I am an absolutely horribly organized person. I have really bad ADHD. That's all true, but it's a curse sometimes, but it's also a blessing, because my brain is just constantly But then as long as I've got kind of somewhere to direct that, it's a friggin' superpower, because I can be incredibly efficient. I can be incredibly, creative. And then, so I guess the only other thing to kind of let up until that point, and kind of up until and during the shoot, just to kind of give you guys a clearer picture, Like I said, sometimes it's on a teleprompter. Sometimes we have some clients that we work with where they just really do not do well on a teleprompter. It makes them sound like a robot. So we kind of differentiate. But I'm working through the script with them, and I am giving them extremely detailed and clear direction about tonality and rhythm, and we're doing it piece by piece. So, for example, rather than getting them to just read off the teleprompter, they read a line and I say, whoa, stop. That sounded crap, right? Here's how you got to say it, right? And so it might be that they said, if you're thinking about buying a townhome in Durham region in 2025, you're probably having nightmares because, multiple offers are back, bidding wars are here. And it's probably driving you crazy, right? If I put that on a teleprompter, the agent might say, if you're thinking of buying a townhome in Durham region in 2025, you're probably, and it's the rhythm and everything is all off, right? Because they're just reading words off a screen. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, follow this, right? Just go. If you're thinking about buying a townhome in Durham region in 2025, just say it like that. And they say it like that. And say, right, okay, next part. Mm-hmm. You're probably really stressed out because multiple offers are back, bidding wars are going on, and and then they say that part. And then I'll say, okay, just say that last part again, right? Just say that last part and really put some kind of emotion into it, right? Just say it exactly like this. It's probably driving you crazy. And they say, it's probably driving you crazy. Now, a lot of the time, they're familiar with the script and they're familiar with the subject, and often, they've read them ahead of time. Sometimes they don't, though. But they trust us so much that... And actually, this probably is the biggest unique value proposition. I know we're running out of time here, so we'll kind of wrap up, see if you've got any other questions. My value proposition to clients, whether it's real estate listings media or whether it's all of this stuff, right, is that we make it easy for you to do your job, which is being a real estate agent, right? And in this context, a lot of the clients that we work with, we literally show up. And we do that. We shoot 1 month of social media content in just one shoot. And they don't have to think about it. They don't have to prepare for it. They don't have to memorize scripts. They don't have to kind of get into the right mindset or whatever. They can spend all of their time being a real estate agent, and then they just show up at the appointed time. I kind of, run in and I'm like, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to be awesome. You just got to go over there. Like, let's just do a little bit of this so you get your kind of energy up. You've got nice body language. Okay, right. Here we go. First line is, if you're thinking about buying a townhome in Durham region in 2025, you're probably really stressed out, right? And then they do it. And often they don't even really have a full sense of the whole message because they're just saying it bit by bit, but they trust us enough to know that it's not only going to be a powerful message, but it's in their brand voice because we, really have taken the time to learn it. And that's how we complete the shoot. One other thing that I do, as well as the scripted stuff, and this is kind of more complicated and takes a bit longer, I'll actually do a Q&A thing where I'll get them to tell me a story. Right, about a client that they've helped or about, something. But I reshape that to an unbelievable extent to the point where, like, we send them the finished videos and they're like, oh my God, like, that's me and those are my words, but I can't speak like that. Like, I'm watching it in disbelief because, like, it's so well structured, it's so clear, it's so coherent, it's so valuable, it's got a good hook, it's kind of a compelling story, it keeps you on the edge of the seat, it's got a good call to action at the end of it. But that's because I am constantly, like, sometimes I'm putting words in their mouth, sometimes I'm saying start with this line and then just kind of speak freely about this thing, and then there's a lot of intention behind it, even though the end result is that it looks like someone's just kind of sat down in front of the camera and told a story. But yeah, those are really cool as well. So yeah, so I guess we're almost out of time. But what else do you want to know?
Yeah. So for that, how you crafted that story, that's really interesting to me. So you have them tell the whole story, and then do you just kind of restructure it, like put it together how to follow that story brand outline of how a story is told?
Yep.
Okay. So if they told the pain point at the very end, you would just move that section to the beginning and just make it
that's right. And the way that I actually do that is I make verbal editing notes. Like, the video file's being recorded, right? Mm-hmm. And I am coaching the client, but then I'm making verbal editing notes. right? And so I'm saying, yeah, tell that part of the story, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't really sound good. Can tell it more and emphasize this part. And then they say something, I go, oh, well, actually, I've just realized what the hook is, right? So I'll go, editing note, what we're about to say next needs to be the hook at the beginning of the video, right? And so I'll say, yeah, this poor client was having such a nightmare and she thought the whole deal was going to fall through, but we somehow managed to make it happen, right? So just say those words. And so he says that, and then that's a good hook to lead into the story. Gotcha. And the first part of the story, like the thing that comes after that was actually at the beginning of when we started recording. The second part was probably at the end. The third part was somewhere in the middle. And it's just all over the place. But I'm making these verbal editing notes to piece together and craft together this story. One thing I just want to mention as well, like most people, and this is, this is not only intended to be helpful to people, to real estate media people who are trying to help clients. This is what you can do for yourself as well, right? To build your own brand, to put content out yourself that is valuable. Speak about the things that you do every day that help your ideal clients, right? But speak about them in this kind of framework, right? You're telling a story about them and how they had a problem and you entered into that problem and you, kind of took them by the hand and you guided them from where they are to where they want to be and you solved the problem. But here's the thing. Most people, in my experience, they can't call things like that to mind. It's crazy. But what I say to people is that there are things that you do every single day, that if you can put that into a piece of content and put it out there, people will see the value in that, and that's how you build your brand, right? And when I have a client and they just can't think of anything, I do this exercise, right? And it's crazy how frequently this works. I say, okay, tell me the last time you spoke with a client, and they say, oh, this morning. I say, okay, what was going on? Well, I was doing some showings, and they found a house that they really liked. But I noticed that it was overpriced. So, I told them that we can't put an offer in at the list price. But we put in an offer at the price that we thought it was worth. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened? And they're like, well, the seller was really stubborn, and declined the offer. But the house is overpriced. So actually the listing agent has not done a good job of pricing it. And that house probably won't sell. But like, I'm not willing to, have my buyer overpay for the house, so we walked away from the deal. And I'm like, there's two stories in there, right? We're going to do two stories. One of them is going to be how you protected your buyer client from not overpaying for a house, right? And you talk about how like they were really excited, and it was over their budget, but they were having a hard time kind of letting go because it covered all of their needs. But this is what you did. You kind of did A, B, and C. You helped them to kind of walk away from something. And in the end, they were really, really thankful for that because it would have been a disaster for them. That's a friggin' amazing piece of content that you can put out there that's going to tell buyers how you protect their interest. But it's also a great piece for a seller, right? Because you can say, I was working with a buyer and there was a home that they really loved, but it was overpriced. Now, the listing agent either didn't really have, kind of a good understanding of what the prices are right now, or maybe they just listed it higher because they just wanted to tell the client, the seller, what they wanted to hear just to get the listing, even though it's actually not going to result in a successful sale. Either way, that poor seller client is now at a disadvantage because the house is probably going to sit on the market for a long time. They're going to have to reduce the price and probably get less for it than we would have offered, and probably less than it should have been listed at in the first place because it's been on the market a long time. People are going to wonder what's wrong with this house, right? And so, it's really important if you're a seller that your agent is not just telling you what you want to hear. They're going to give you an honest answer so that when your house is listed for sale, you are set up for success. And then with something like that, we'll kind of add something on the end. And so, if you're concerned about any of that, send me a DM and I'll give you my advice. So that's all just like crafted by just telling. And I'm telling you, man, like, when was the last time you spoke to a client? It almost always results in an amazing story. And it's the same for real estate media agencies, real estate photographers. You help clients all the time. You go into homes, you deal with problems, you go above and beyond. You do stuff that other people who do your job would not do. So if you can find a compelling way to talk about that, even if you think it's a mundane thing, even if you think it's, well, that's just, I do that every day. If you do it every day, talk about it, because people are going to listen to that and go, oh, wow, you really kind of help people tidy up the house. my photographer doesn't do that. Oh, you really kind of don't charge more if it's bad weather and you have to come back on a different day to do the exteriors. Oh wow, like that's amazing. That's great service. Oh, you really do this, and like you do stuff every day, and if you can talk about it and put it into this framework, you will grow your business. Is that good enough?
Love
That's
it.
amazing.
So read Story Brand, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Absolutely.
If
You gotta read
haven't.
it. You gotta read it.
Follow
Absolutely.
John on Instagram because his content's awesome. And you follow that to a T. Like the framework in the book. It's amazing.
It's so embedded in my brain that I kind of follow it. Like I don't even think about it. And like sometimes, for example, I'll be having a discussion with my wife. We'll be trying to make a decision on like where we're going to go for dinner or this, that, or the other. And my wife will go, hold on a second. You're not going to story brand me into this. We are going to go to this place. Right. And I'm like, I wasn't even trying to. That's how my brain works now.
You're not going to story, man. I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, it's not always easy to make a lot of money from real estate listings media, and a lot of agencies and photographers and videographers are trying to get into social media content, social media management. If you do it in the right way, it can actually be a really, really solid, sustainable business, but you've got to do it in the right way.
Can you give us an idea of the ballpark of time on site and pricing for your packages from like the low end to the high end?
Yeah. So our packages, there's 3 packages and 2 variations of them. Like I said earlier on, like one is creating the content and one is with posting, right? The first package is for a 90-minute shoot, and it's $1,300. And you get up to 4 reels from that. The reason why it's up to 4 reels is because sometimes people want to do things that are a little bit more creative. They've got higher production value. They're going to be more time consuming and stuff like that. And the mistake that I made was I was promising a number of reels, right? And then sometimes people are like, oh, well, can we go to this location and can we do this where it's like this, that, and the other? And I'm like, well, we can, but like that's not going to fit into the time frame that we've got. And it was a difficult conversation to have because it's like, it's 4 reels. So what I say now is 90-minute shoot, and you get up to 4 reels. Mm-hmm. If it's like regular, simple talking head social media content, you will get 4 reels.
Right.
But that also makes it really simple for me. I don't have a different pricing structure for different types of custom projects. It's like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, well, that's going to probably take about 90 minutes to shoot that one video. So it's the $1,300 package. Sorry, not $1,300, $1,500. It's the $1,500 package. And we're going to get 1 reel, but it's going to have really high production value, right? Mm. So $1,500.
That's Canadian. Correct.
That's Canadian, so it'll be about the bloody exchange rate right now. It's probably going to be like $1,100 US or something like that. So $1,500 is for 4 reels, and it includes the strategy, the scripting. I'm involved in every single one, guiding, coaching, and all the editing and everything like that. So $1,500 for 4 reels. If you want us to post that, then it's $2,500, and for that, you get the 4 reels, so we'll post 1 of those per month, and then 2 additional pieces of content per month. And by the way, like for most of we've got a couple of clients who do actually want to give input. And we've got one client in particular who wants to be really involved into exactly what the content is, what the information and how it's presented and stuff like that. We still do like the finalization of the scripts. We still write the copy, the captions and everything like that. But he wants to be really involved. We've got a few other clients who are kind of somewhat involved, but most of our clients, they're actually not involved at all. Like really, like apart from kind of check-ins and kind of, the initial kind of learning about their brand voice and all the rest of it, they just let us run with it, right? So, so it's basically we charge an extra $1,000 Canadian to post the content and then provide 2 additional posts, right? And that includes all of the copywriting, the research. Again, it's not cookie cutter, it's not AI. It's a full kind of customized content strategy. So second package is a 3-hour shoot and up to 8 reels. And the price for that is $2,500. Or if you want us to post it for you, it's $3,500. And then the third package is a 4.5-hour shoot, which is for 12 reels. And the price for that is $3,500. Or if you want us to post it for you, it's $4,500. What I will say about that as well is that I increased the prices at the beginning of the year, not by a huge amount, but by a bit, and I'll tell you why. Before I got a lot of traction with this, right? And I was getting calls from a lot of different people, kind of inquiring. Some of the calls were going well, but a lot of the calls were like, they were going well, and then they would say, how much is it? And I would say, it's $1,200 for 4 reels, and they would be like, sorry, I must have misunderstood. Like, how much is it? Like, it's $1,200 for 4 reels, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about, man? The last guy who did this, he gave me 10 reels for 500. Like, like it doesn't even make sense to them, right? And so that was kind of difficult, but at the same time, ironically, I realized that the price that I was charging was not actually that profitable or sustainable because of everything that we put into it. Because like I said, we are doing it in a way that nobody else is, right? And that's why I've got 14 people on my friggin' team, right? And so I decided that I needed to increase the prices, but this is how, this is karma and whatever else. Everything just goes my way. I'm just blessed, right? Around about the time though where I increased the prices, I also started to have, there was a lot of clients that we were working with, and other clients were taking notice of their content, and they were like, who the hell is doing your content? It's amazing. And sometimes it's just amazing, because it's amazing, but a lot of the time it's like, I know you, and I know you cannot talk like that, right? But your social media content is unbelievable, right? How on earth are you achieving this, right? So then, the reputation started to grow, word of mouth started to go around. We started, we really kind of pushed the branding of it and the social media content of our own channels to kind of build up the awareness and really kind of, put a clear message out there. And so all of that together, magically meant that I pretty much now don't get any clients who aren't a good fit. Like those clients who are wanting 10 reels for $500, they don't even call me because they obviously say, well, yeah, that guy's probably expensive, right? And that's great. The clients who do call me, most of them have some kind of expectation because they've seen someone else's content, they've spoken to a friend or whatever, right? And so that's why I can charge the prices that I do now. But I'm telling you right now, I am not making tons of money off this. This is a good, healthy business now. And it is a business where I can continue to invest in it and scale. But yeah, it's a very, very different thing to what, kind of, I think a lot of people either are doing or maybe should kind of look to do as a starting point to get into this, right? There are so many different systems and strategies and I don't know whether you've heard the analogy about, there's a huge tanker, like an ocean liner, whatever, and the motor's bust, right? And so they call in this expert, this guy who kind of shows up with a tiny little toolkit, and he kind of wanders around and he's kind of tapping here and he's tapping there, and then he taps and he's like, okay, and he hears something and he gets his hammer out and he just goes bang. And the motor starts running again, right? And the guy from the shipping company is like, oh, wow, that's great. How much do we owe you? And he's like, you owe me $100,000. He's like, $100,000? You just spent 10 minutes. Like, what the hell? He's like, no, I spent 50 years to be able to do what I just did in 10 minutes. You owe me for the years, not the minutes, right? And so I have invested an incredible amount of money. In fact, my real estate media listings business has been growing so quickly and has been profitable, but not profitable. There have been certain times where I've kind of thought to myself, why am I not really making any money? Like I'm paying myself a half decent wage, but there's no money left over, right? I'm not, it's not a hugely profitable business. But then I kind of realized, and when I say I realized, because I'm not an analytical business person, I just kind of do things based on gut. I realized that it was because the majority of the profits from the real estate listings media side were just being poured back into the business to recruit my content director, to recruit my copywriter, to put all of these systems in place, which are absolutely, it's honestly, my business is an absolute monster. But by doing all of that, now I'm at the point where I can charge that money and I can be confident that I'm providing amazing value. And now, in 2025, I'm hoping that I'm going to start to make a lot of money. We'll see.
You will. You will.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on, John. I have to go, unfortunately.
You are welcome. Nice to see you guys. And
it's so great having me.
I'd be happy to come back at any time.
Oh, awesome. We'd love to have you back. Thanks, John.
All right. Cheers, guys.
All right.
Cheers. We'll see you on the next one.